Soba the squirrel listens to the wind, a whisper nest tale. In a forest full of hushes and rustles, where moss grows thick and soft, there lived a small squirrel named Soba. The forest held many creatures, chattering jays, busy beetles, deer that stepped so lightly they barely left a trail. But Soba was different. She didn't rush or dart. She watched. She waited. Soba had fur like silver pine bark and eyes round and bright as river stones. When the light hit them just right, her eyes seemed to hold tiny reflections of the sky. Pale clouds drifted across their surface, and sometimes you could almost see a breeze moving through them. But more than anything, she had quiet paws and quiet thoughts, the kind that listen. Each morning, Soba climbed her favorite tree, a big old oak with twisting branches and deep roots. Its bark was furrowed and familiar, and it welcomed her each day with a soft creak, like the sound of a door gently opening to an old friend. She'd sit on her favorite perch, not too high, not too low, and she'd close her eyes to listen. The wind would arrive softly at first, a tiny breath between the leaves, then a rustle, a whisper, a swirl. It touched everything gently, tickling the edges of lichen, brushing the moss like a paintbrush dipped in air. Even the spiderwebs shimmered when it passed. The wind traveled over hills, through hollows, across rivers and stones. It carried messages, molecules of scent and temperature, bits of pollen and memory. Soba noticed that every wind carried a different scent. There was the dry, nutty smell of cracked acorns, the damp green of fern-covered logs, and sometimes the sharp edge of far-off smoke, reminding her to stay alert. Some days, the wind smelled of acorns and fallen bark. That was when the jays had been loud in the morning, and the forest floor felt scattered and stirred. Other times, it smelled like mushrooms and rain far, far away. She would tilt her nose skyward, twitch once, and know the storm is still 2 hills away, maybe 3. Scent, she had learned, was not just smell. It was memory, location, and warning, all braided into one. And the wind braided it. There were days it brought the sweet tang of berries, and others when it carried the warning scent of fox. That scent came sharp and sudden, like a twig snapping in the dark. Soba would freeze, then shift her body low to the branch, quiet as moonlight. Soba's little nose twitched, her whiskers quivered. The wind told her stories. One morning, the wind came fast and wild, and the trees bent low to greet it. Leaves flew like confetti. A cluster of feathers drifted past her perch, just shed, not fallen. Even the clouds above seemed to scatter. Some branches swayed, graceful and loose, while others stood stiff and silent. The stiff ones creaked in protest. The others bent and danced, like they had practiced this their whole lives. Soba watched carefully. She saw how the branches that danced grew stronger with time, while the ones that didn't move sometimes broke when storms rolled in. She didn't know the word for it, but the trees were practicing something called thigmomorphogenesis, growing stronger by swaying, learning from movement, becoming who they were by responding to the air. The wind teaches them, she thought, just like it teaches me. She climbed to a higher limb, feeling it sway under her paws. Just alive. It moved with the air, and she moved with it. She felt the rhythm of the tree, not a stillness, but a subtle pulse. The wood beneath her paws was flexing, adjusting, growing. Later, down below, she found a trail of moss, where the breeze had uncovered a line of tiny seeds. The moss was dappled with dew, and the seeds glistened like little beads of amber. She nibbled one and smiled. The wind had brought her breakfast. Evening came slowly, painting the forest in dusky light. The shadows stretched long and gentle, and the sky shifted from pale gold to violet blue. The breeze turned cooler, gentler, like a lullaby. Soba nestled in the crook of her tree, tail curled around like a warm scarf. The bark still held a bit of the day's warmth, and the tree's breathing slowed with hers. She listened one more time, to the hush of the grass, to the shifting branches, to the quiet crackle of distant rain. Even the mushrooms seemed to lean a little in the wind. And somewhere beneath the soil, roots stirred in reply. The forest was not silent. Even when still, it was full of tiny responses. Messages carried through air and answered in kind. And as the forest settled to sleep, Soba whispered, "Thank you, wind." Her voice was soft, but the wind heard it. And the wind, in its gentle way, whispered back,